Hi, welcome to the video. Today I'm going to go through my recent track day and how the car's progressing. I'm going to do a separate video on what's been recently done, but there's a key list of parts that I've been working on. The new clutch and the flywheel, the main one, recent panic, only been in a couple of weeks. Front mount intercooler, and really the lower control arms, probably the key thing from allowing me to set up the car in a much more controllable way, and you'll see in the videos how much of a difference that's made to lap times.
Hello, first run home today.
So here's the first cool thing that happened in the day, being passed by a Ferrari. That will be the only time you see it. Crashed shortly after the first issue I had of the day. So we start the first flying lap, and this was just a fairly easy lap, just to settle in, check the car over. Lots of stuff's been done, so through Richie's entry fairly steady. Again, also, you know, temperatures, I hadn't got the pressures right in the tyres yet. These were just kind of getting up. So it was really a case of getting the car warmed up properly, come in, check everything's tight, check the pressures over again. We're a little bit shallow into Montreal there. Better to get a little bit deeper than that and straighten up the exit through Palmer. It's a tricky corner. And yeah, I was holding third there, and I hold fourth into Agostini along here. Later in the day I changed up a gear into both of those, purely just to be a little bit easier on the engine. It is slightly slower, taking fourth and fifth into those respectively, but you know, it's a track day, it's not a race. Going into Hamilton now, one of my favourite corners on the track. Love just being able to get close to those tyres and push it on the exit. Into Oggies, kind of have to brake a little bit earlier than you think. Through down into Williams behind these guys. Be a good test now for the front mount intercooler, see how it gets on. Pushing the limiter a little bit more than I did later in the day here. Get past them, zip down the straight, see what kind of VMAX we get. 221, so that equals the best of last year. And only on the first run, which is pretty good going. With intake temperatures, well, ambient temperatures 10 degrees higher than when I got that as well, so it's pretty good going. Through the bomb hole into Coram. Big difference here between how I go through Coram on this lap and how I go through on my last lap of the day, which will be later in the video. This is where you could really feel the confidence difference in having the suspension set up better. So yeah, through Murray's up along the centre straight, and this time was around about 2:30. Also, I don't time during the day, this is all just off of video marking, but I had a good feeling for the lap anyway. So my fastest before this was like a 2:29, somewhere in the 2:29s, and you'll see coming into Richie's here, little bit of oversteer, but the difference in that oversteer was so different to last year. There was so much more grip when the back broke loose, but when the back broke loose, it gripped up a lot more than it did before. Before it was like, you know, someone had taken a truck and whacked the rear of the car around, whereas now it was just like, just a little shove and you can correct it. So now we're coming up to the problem of the day, which was innocuous enough, and nothing really signalled that there was going to be a problem. I'm signalling it to let someone past. Courteous thing to do. Not enough people do it, I think. I'd noticed there was someone coming up, and I wasn't going to get a quick lap in. This was my third flying lap effectively, and I thought, well, actually no, I'll just back off and come in the pits. And the battery light comes on. Notice it pretty quickly. I don't actually have a low voltage or a lower than expected voltage battery warning on the dash yet, but I will for the next track day. Fortunately, this time I noticed it anyway. so kind of came crawling around towards the pits. And at this point I hadn't thought to look on the dashboard at what the actual voltage was. If I had, I'd have noticed that it was down at just over 12.
Who knows? So, bit of an update. Alternator, fucked. Died. Don't know why. Bearings seem fine. Yeah, not great. Hopefully get spare parts in an hour or two. Maybe get out for the afternoon. That all runs off. It's about 45 minutes to get it all back together again. So, yeah, the saviour is coming with a spare. And then we'll see what happens in the afternoon. But the morning felt so good. Just that one run. The back end, the speed that you could carry and the confidence was so different. So, fingers crossed.
So big thanks at this point to my father-in-law who ran over to Norwich and picked me up a new alternator from Eurocar Parts. They had them in stock, which was fantastic. Popped it on the car, 10 or 15 minutes just bolting the intercooler back together to see if it had the desired effect.
Moment of truth, new alternator on. See what it does. Woohoo! Voltage! Yeah! Ah, right. Now put everything back together.
So now I'm going to skip to the final fast lap of the day, really, that I had. And there was a little bit of traffic in the middle, so this lap could have been quicker. But it was a lot quicker than I was going last year. So up the centre straight. A little bit of context before this, I put 2 laps in also that were a very similar speed to this. One that was less than a tenth slower, and then another one within 3 or 4 tenths of that. But there we go. So turn in through Ritchie's, barely go below 80 on the way in. Again, a lot better than it was last year. Pop in, get nice and deep on the braking into Montreal. Pull out a lot nicer there. Ignore the warning lights on the dash. That's just one of the sensors deciding to be a bit silly. Traction control and everything's off during these anyway. So yeah, there I'm holding 4th, going to 5th nice and early. I've got traffic in front, so I'm just easing up. I haven't looked at how much this cost. I would expect it to be a good few tenths, if not even up towards a second. But anyway, because not only that, obviously I floored it here to get past, which was fine, but it gave me a shallower line into Hamilton, which meant I was going another sort of 3 or 4 miles an hour slower there than I can. Just put my hand up, say thanks. Brake nicely into Oggies, get a good line through there. Again, there's probably somewhere that I could do in 3rd, but it does get a bit bumpy under braking there, and I kind of think, well, actually I'd probably be better making sure that the car's in the right place. That's going to be something that I work on a little bit. And this C1's a long way up here, but go for a little slipstreaming down the straight. And this actually does give me the, it sounds silly, but it does give me the fastest VMAX of the day at 123, just flicked into there. Through Brundle, which is a tricky one, I'm still working on that, there's some time to gain there. Through Nelson, nicely, didn't clip the sausage curve this time. Again, shifting early towards the bomb hole, accelerate through and out, and then into Coram, and you'll see the speed that I carry in here. And actually I realised that I dropped the speed too much, and I thought, well, let's just experiment and see if I can accelerate a bit more into the middle of the corner. And you know, was getting 82, 83 miles an hour where I was barely getting into the mid-70s before. And then accelerating up the hill, back across the start-finish line, and this was at 225.2 roughly. And so I had another 225.2 and a 225.5 earlier in the day, and considering before I was, you know, I had a couple of laps in the 229s and then 230s. just night and day different. So fantastic to be able to push the car that much, and there's going to be a lot more to come. You know, I was just getting the confidence in really realising that the car was holdable on the what I perceived to be the limit, which evidently has moved a little bit now. So I can't wait to get back out on track again. I'm going to be booking another one. Yeah, see if we can break into the 24s, which I'm sure I could, because I think that last one would have been in the 24s had I not caught traffic at Agostini. So yeah, fantastic progress. Really happy. Yeah, loving every minute of being in the car. I can't wait to get back into it again.